Hello and welcome to Shelf Life, where each month I share some of the best in young adult literature for teens, teachers, and adults of all ages. I'm your host, Patricia Emerson, and in this edition, strong females take the lead. It's a mixed bag in March. The titles include The Beauty That Remains by Ashley Woodfolk, And We Stay by Jenny Hubbard, Blood, Water, and Paint by Joy McCullough, Damsel by Alana Arnold, The Lonely Dead by April Henry, and The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. Logan, Shay, and Autumn share a love of music. They also share the recent deaths of important people in their lives. Logan has lost the love of his life to suicide. This brings his promising music career to a screeching halt. Shay loses her twin sister to leukemia. When she's gone, Shay struggles to continue with the trend-setting music blog they created together. Autumn's best friend dies in a tragic car accident. Autumn knows it wouldn't have happened if she'd been by her side. Guilt, feelings of what if, haunt each of them. Told in these three characters' points of view, their parallel lives unfold and finally converge. Don't miss Ashley Woodfolk's debut novel, The Beauty That Remains. Jenny Hubbard's smart, dark novel, And We Stay, explores the emotional recovery of Emily Beam. Her boyfriend, Paul Wagner, has killed himself while she watched in the school library of their high school. Paul. Oh yes, she could feel it even though the bullet had never stabbed her skin. The bright white heat burned at her core, where two lives beat. And if he'd aimed there and pulled the trigger, red would have crested like a broken dam over her hands. Traumatized and working to reclaim her life, Emily goes to live with her aunt in Amherst, Massachusetts, the hometown of poet Emily Dickinson. Dickinson and Emily share more than a name. They share poetry. Woven into the fabric of this realistic story about redemption is the character's connection to one of America's greatest poets. Dickinson's mystery, her life lived in seclusion, the poetry that gave her purpose, figure in her namesake's return to her life before this tragedy. These poems and prose feature the best language has to offer and tell an unforgettable story. Joy McCullough's novel and verse tell about a real-life artist, Artemisia Gentileschi. Artemisia lost her mother when she was 12. She chooses life as her father's painter's assistant over life as a nun. I sleepwalked through the first motherless days. When Father called me to the studio, I climbed the stairs in certainty he meant to send me to the home for inconvenient girls. Enclosed within the convent, he'd be spared the shadow of his wife's cheekbones, heavy jaw, defiant gaze at every turn. I did not know a palette knife from kitchen knife, not then. I need more pigment ground. Can you manage that or not? I could, and so I was betrothed to art instead. In a short time working for her father, it is clear that the pupil surpasses her teacher. But Artemisia lives under a culture of subjugation, male subjugation in Renaissance Italy. It's 1620. And her father plays his own part in belittling his daughter, in claiming her superior work as his own. Finally, though, he must choose sides when Artemisia is attacked. Will he support her attacker, a wealthy client, or will he defend defend his daughter in the courts, where women lack the very same standing they do everywhere else. McCullough paints a picture of the times in poems that capture voices with competing perspectives. She adds stories of women who have resisted male domination. Blood, Water, Paint is a triumph, suspenseful and gut-wrenching, celebrating a little-known, real-life artist and hero. Damsel by Alana K. Arnold is a fairy tale mystery with twists and turns designed to hold readers in thrall of the unexpected. Emery, the king's son, leaves his kingdom of Harding as preordained. His mission? Slay the dragon. Only then can he claim his queen, the one whom the dragon has held captive. That's how the story goes, right? But all is not as it seems. Emery slays the dragon indeed and returns with his bride-to-be, whom he has named Amma. Along the way, Amma has adopted an orphan lynx cub. Emery killed his mother thinking Amma was in danger. This pits Emery against this lynx and establishes an ominous mood from the novel's beginning. Amma's lynx cub, she's named him Sorrow, comes to represent an underlying tension between taming what is meant to be wild and the natural freedom one has at birth. Other questions plague Amma. Why does every queen have to lose all memory of the past? Why has she? Amma, you are no ordinary woman. You are a damsel rescued from a dragon and destined for a king, as I was and as your future son's wife will be. And you will be a vase that will hold the most precious, the rarest flower of all, the son of my son, the future king. You are important, Amma. You are special, for you alone can bear the prince to come. No one else, only you. But Queen Mother, surely we are more than just the men we serve. What were we before we were taken by dragons, before we were rescued by men? Damsel will keep you reading until the very last page and wondering even longer. What makes a good mystery? April Henry shows us in her chilling novel, The Lonely Dead. Yes, there's a paranormal component, but that only adds to the suspense. In a good writer's hands, what can't be true suddenly seems plausible. Adele, the narrator, has this problem. The dead aren't dead around her. So when she encounters her ex-best friend Tori while walking home through the woods late at night, she's got to do something, especially when the police, following her tip, discover Tori's body buried in a shallow grave, right where Adele had spoken with her a few hours before. Now Tori won't let Adele alone. Tori wants to figure out how she was murdered, and she wants Adele's help. She remembers very little of the circumstances. Unfortunately, the clues that Tori gives Adele point the police in Adele's direction. She becomes a prime suspect. How else would she have all this information unless she were involved? I repeat a phrase from the crime shows my grandpa's always watching. What about motive, means, and opportunity? The means? The means would just have to be having the gun or knife or whatever it was that killed her. Without thinking, I say she was strangled. How do you know that? Crap, I can't come up with anything better than, well, that's just what I heard. As Adele explores further, she becomes a threat to the real killer. She may end up in a shallow grave herself. Alex is a girl bent on revenge. She watched her sister's killer released from police custody for a lack of evidence, and she can't abide that. Some men should be marked, and I'm fit for the task. Words like sociopath and psychopath, ones that people toss around without knowing what they actually mean, neither of them fit. They speak of a lack of empathy, disregarding the safety of others, when I am the opposite. I feel too much. I'm not fine, and I doubt I ever will be. I am vengeance. 3 characters tell this story. Alex, as she reveals her secrets, her actions, thoughts, and feelings. PK, a fellow student who comes to know the Alex who loves animals and can be a loyal friend. And Jack, a well-liked star athlete and student who's counting on a scholarship that'll take him away from this fishbowl life of a small town. Then he gets to know Alex, and his future suddenly seems uncertain. This violent novel for mature readers boldly explores revenge and its ties to justice. The female of the species forces us to deal with the very worst and the best of human behavior. It's impossible to look away. I hope you found your next title in this edition of Shelf Life. I look forward to hearing about what you're reading in the comments below. See you again next time.